Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive, this time all about the Lenovo Legion Go. If you're here, you're probably as hyped about this handheld as we are, especially with all the buzz going around.
Yeah, it's been getting a lot of attention.
We got our hands on a super in-depth review, and we're ready to break it all down for you, whether you're ready to pre-order right now or still on the fence. I mean, the Legion Go's got a crazy big 8.8-inch screen, these detachable controllers, and get this, it runs full Windows 11. So much to unpack here.
It's ambitious, that's for sure.
No kidding. A lot of people are going to be comparing this to the Steam Deck, so let's jump right into the review and see what the Legion Go is all about.
Sounds good.
Okay, first impressions. This review starts by going on and on about that massive 8.8-inch 2K display.
It's definitely one of the first things you notice about the device. Right, they say it just blows the competition out of the water, especially when it comes to visual clarity, which makes a huge difference in fast-paced games. Now, I gotta admit, I was a little skeptical about how comfortable a screen that big would be in handheld mode, you know?
I can see that. It's a bit unconventional.
But the review actually says it adds to the immersion, especially in open-world games. What do you think about that?
It's interesting because there's a trade-off.
Yeah, there's always a trade-off.
A bigger screen means a more immersive experience, but it also usually means a heavier device, which impacts portability.
For sure. We'll have to talk about the weight and ergonomics later on, but it seems like Lenovo is really prioritizing visual impact with that display.
It definitely makes a statement.
Absolutely. And it's not just about size. The tech behind it seems impressive, too. The reviewer specifically called out the color accuracy and responsiveness, which are both key for, well, any gamer, but especially those who are into competitive games.
Yeah, those are crucial factors for a good gaming experience.
Okay, so we've talked about the big, beautiful screen, but what about the brains of the operation?
Ah, yes. Let's talk about what's under the hood.
Lay it on me. What kind of power are we working with here?
Get ready for some serious horsepower. The Legion Go packs the AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor, which is the same one you'll find in some pretty high-end gaming laptops. And that's not all. They paired that with 16 gigabytes of RAM. This thing should handle anything you throw at it.
Okay, so no more lag or frame drops, even in the most demanding games.
That's what the review suggests. They put it through its paces with some of the latest titles, and it seems to hold up incredibly well.
That's exciting. But how does it actually compare to the Steam Deck's processor in terms of, like, raw performance?
Benchmarks suggest the Legion Go has a slight edge in raw processing power. However, and this is the big however, that power often comes with a trade-off.
Okay, I'm sensing a but coming.
But battery life might take a hit.
Ah, the eternal struggle. Power versus portability. It's always a balancing act, especially with handhelds.
You said it.
Well, speaking of innovative features, the Legion Go also has these detachable controllers. Kind of reminds me of the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons.
Right. But with a little twist.
Oh yeah, I've heard whispers of this FPS mode. What's the deal with that?
So FPS mode lets you detach the controllers, and you can use this magnetic stand to position them. It's supposed to be more ergonomic, especially for first-person shooters.
Makes sense.
The idea is to give you more precision, almost like using a mouse and keyboard setup.
Oh, interesting. So is that a game changer? Does it actually make a difference?
The review highlighted it as a really unique feature. It might be kind of niche, though.
Yeah, I could see that. Not every gamer is hardcore into FPS games, but for those who are, I bet this is a pretty sweet addition.
Totally. It seems like Lenovo is trying to cater to a specific audience with this feature, those hardcore FPS fans.
Smart move. All right, so detachable controllers, check. Powerful processor, check. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room.
The Windows 11 thing.
The Windows 11 thing. A full desktop operating system on a handheld. That's pretty mind-blowing, don't you think?
It's incredibly ambitious.
Yeah.
And it comes with both advantages and potential challenges, of
Oh,
course.
yeah, for sure. What are the pros and cons here?
Well, on the one hand, you have access to pretty much the entire PC gaming library, right? Not just a limited selection like you get on other handhelds.
That's huge.
You can install any game launcher, any software. Basically, it's truly like a portable PC.
I can see the appeal of that. But what about the downsides?
Well, there's some concern about how well Windows 11 is optimized for a handheld experience. It's not really designed for a touchscreen interface, so it can be a little clunky.
Yeah, I can imagine trying to navigate tiny menus with your fingers. Not ideal.
The review did mention some issues with the Windows interface, like it's not as seamless and intuitive as a dedicated gaming OS might be.
So that's something to keep in mind. But hey, to sweeten the deal, It looks like Lenovo is throwing in a 3-month Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription.
Oh, that's right.
That's a pretty good incentive, especially for new gamers who might not have a huge library already.
Definitely adds to the value proposition, no doubt.
It's like they're saying, hey, look, you can play anything on this thing, and here are some games to get you started.
Exactly. It showcases the flexibility of the platform, right? Like, you have all these options. You can play your existing PC games or dive into Game Pass and try something new.
It's a really smart strategy. Okay, so we've talked about all the good stuff, the display, the processor, the detachable controllers, and Windows 11. It almost sounds too good to be true.
Almost.
But there's always another side to the coin. Let's get into the not-so-good stuff, because no device is perfect.
Right. We got to keep it real. What are the caveats, the things that might make you hesitate?
Yeah, let's dive into the downsides, the things that might make someone reconsider hitting that buy now button.
All right. Well, the most obvious one, and the review didn't shy away from this at all, is the weight. At 854 grams, this thing is a beast.
854 grams. Wow, okay, that's heavier than most tablets even.
It's nearly double the weight of a Nintendo Switch, so yeah, it's definitely noticeable.
Ouch. That's something to consider for sure, especially during those long gaming sessions.
Yeah, the review is pretty clear about that. They said the weight could be a deal breaker for some users, especially those who really prioritize portability, if you're commuting or traveling.
Right, think about carrying that around in your backpack all day.
Exactly. It's going to make a difference.
I guess it comes down to how you plan to use the device.
For sure.
If you're mostly gaming at home, the weight might not matter as much. But if you're looking for something truly portable, something you can easily take with you anywhere, it's something to think about.
Absolutely.
All right, so weight. Check. What about that battery life? We were singing the praises of that powerful processor, but does that mean less playtime?
Unfortunately, yeah, it seems so.
Give it to me straight.
The review found that the battery life, for intensive gaming at least, sits around the 2 to 3 hour mark.
2 to 3 hours. That's not great.
No, not compared to some of the other handhelds out there. But again, it's that balance between power and portability.
Yeah, I get it. You can't have it all.
The Legion Go's got this demanding hardware, a bright, beautiful screen, and those take a toll on the battery.
Okay, so it sounds like carrying a charger is pretty much mandatory with this thing.
Pretty much, yeah. If you're planning on using it on the go, you'll want to have a power source handy.
All right, good to know. Now, we were gushing about Windows 11 earlier, but I remember the review mentioned some potential downsides as well. What's the catch?
Well, it turns out that as great as Windows 11 is, it's not quite there yet in terms of being fully optimized for handheld gaming.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
What kind of problems are we talking about?
You might run into clunky menus, navigation issues, even some compatibility problems with certain games. It's not quite as plug-and-play as a dedicated gaming OS would be.
So there's a bit of a learning curve involved.
A bit, yeah. The review mentioned that some games needed tweaking, adjusting the settings, or even using some third-party software to get them to run smoothly.
So it's not exactly a pick-up-and-play experience?
Not always.
Yeah.
But for people who are comfortable with, tweaking and troubleshooting, it might not be a big deal. But if you just want something that works straight out of the box, it could be a source of frustration.
Right, right. So Windows 11,
Hmm.
amazing potential, but maybe not quite there yet in terms of handheld optimization. Gotcha. What else should we be wary of?
Well, there's the price tag.
Ah, yes, the dreaded price tag.
The Legion Go is positioned at a higher price point than some of its competitors.
Like the Steam Deck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, they're both more affordable. And,
Sure.
Given the Legion Go's high-end specs and all the features we've talked about, the price is understandable. But
It's still a big chunk of change.
it is.
Yeah.
And then you have to factor in the potential need for extra storage, accessories, things like that. It all adds up.
For sure. So it's important to weigh the cost against your individual needs and budget.
Absolutely. Do those premium features justify the premium price tag? That's the question you have to ask yourself.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype of new tech, but gotta be realistic.
Yeah.
Okay, so price, noted. Now, I'm still a little curious about those detachable controllers. We talked about the FPS mode and how that might be a cool addition. But what about the overall feel, the actual functionality? Are they any good?
The review said they're pretty good, actually. Comfortable, responsive, intuitive button layout. They felt good in hand. But they did mention that the controllers feel a bit plasticky compared to some of the more premium controllers you might find on other devices.
So good, but not great.
Yeah, pretty much. They get the job done, but they're not, pushing the boundaries of what we've seen before in terms of materials or design.
Fair enough. Okay, what about storage? 512 GB sounds like a lot, but these days, with games getting bigger and bigger, will that actually be enough?
That's a valid concern, and the review touched on that. They said storage could become an issue, especially if you're installing a lot of AAA titles.
Yeah, those games are huge.
Thankfully, the Legion Go does have expandable storage. You can use a microSD card.
Oh, good.
But of course, that adds to the overall cost.
Of course. It's always something, isn't it?
Right.
So, if you think you're going to need more storage, which, let's be honest, you probably will, factor that into your budget.
Definitely.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about the dazzling display, the powerful processor. We went over those detachable controllers, the whole Windows 11 situation. We talked about the weight, the battery life, the price.
It's a lot to process.
It's a lot. It's clear this Lenovo Legion Go is a bit of a complex beast.
It is.
It's got some really impressive strengths, but it also has its weaknesses.
That's true of any device, really.
That's true. But before we jump to any conclusions, we need to talk about the actual gaming experience, right? How do games actually run on this thing? Does it live up to the hype? How does it feel to play?
All the important questions.
Exactly. Stay tuned for part 2, where we're going to dive into the performance, the gameplay, and all the other features that make this handheld tick. All right, welcome back to our Lenovo Legion Go deep dive. Now it's time to get into the nitty-gritty, the part I know a lot of you have been waiting for.
Yeah, let's talk about games.
Let's talk about games. We spent a lot of time in part 1 talking about all that power under the hood, but does it actually deliver?
Well, from what I've read in this review, it sounds like the Legion Go really lives up to the hype when it comes to performance.
Okay, good. I'm dying to hear how it handles those really demanding AAA titles, the ones that usually make a handheld sweat.
Right, the real stress tests.
Yeah.
Well, the reviewer specifically called out games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, good choices.
And they said both of them ran super smoothly, with high frame rates. Even when they cranked up the graphics settings, there wasn't any noticeable lag or stuttering.
Wow, that's impressive. Those are some seriously demanding games. To have them running that well on a handheld, that's a game changer for people who want that console-like experience on the go.
It definitely blurs the lines a bit, doesn't it?
Totally. And remember, this is all happening on that beautiful 8.8-inch display we talked about earlier. I can only imagine how stunning those games must look.
Right. Imagine exploring the vast landscapes of Red Dead Redemption 2 on a screen that size. The visual fidelity must be incredible.
Yeah, it's like having a portable home theater. But what about the, let's say, less demanding games, like indie titles, retro emulators, things like that? How does the Legion Go handle those?
Well, honestly, those are a piece of cake for this device.
Yeah, makes sense.
But there's something I found particularly interesting. The review was really excited about how well the Legion Go handles emulators, which is a big deal for retro gamers.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that. It's running full Windows 11, which opens up a whole world of emulation possibilities.
Exactly. It's like having a retro gaming machine in your pocket. For those who might not be familiar with emulators, basically they allow you to play classic games from older consoles on modern hardware.
Right, like Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, even PlayStation 1 and 2 games, stuff like that.
Exactly. So on the Legion Go, you could potentially have this massive library of retro games right to your fingertips.
That's amazing. Talk about a nostalgia overload. It's like having access to your entire childhood gaming collection all on one device.
Pretty cool, huh?
Very cool. But getting back to modern games, it's not just about performance, right?
Definitely not.
How does the actual gameplay experience feel? Do the controls feel good?
The reviewer was really happy with that aspect, too. They said the Legion Go feels super responsive in-game.
Good to hear.
They specifically mentioned the low latency and precise controls, which are essential for fast-paced action games or competitive shooters, where every millisecond counts.
Totally. There's nothing worse than lag, ruining your kill streak, or causing you to miss a crucial jump.
Right. And it all ties back to the Windows 11 flexibility we talked about before. Because you're not limited to a specific storefront or ecosystem, you can access games from Steam, Epic Games Store, GOG, pretty much anywhere else you can buy PC games.
Right. It really is like having a portable gaming PC. You're not locked into any particular platform, which is a huge plus.
Absolutely, because there's so much freedom.
It's like the Wild West of PC gaming, but in your hands.
Exactly.
But hold on, we were talking about some concerns with the Windows 11 earlier. Like, it's not really designed for a handheld. It's not perfectly optimized for this kind of gaming. Did the reviewer run into any actual issues?
They did mention a few things.
Okay, like what?
Some games need a little bit of tweaking to get the best performance.
Like what kind of tweaking?
Adjusting settings, maybe even using third-party software to optimize things. They said there's a bit of a learning curve for people who aren't already familiar with Windows settings and optimization. It's not always as simple as just installing a game and playing.
So not exactly a plug-and-play experience.
Not for every game, no. For some, it's smooth sailing. For others, you might need to tinker a bit. But for those who are willing to put in the effort, the rewards are there. You have access to this massive library of PC games, and with some tweaking, you can get them running beautifully on the Legion Go.
So I guess it depends on what kind of gamer you are. If you're
Yeah.
someone who enjoys customizing your gaming setup, tweaking settings, finding those optimal configurations, then you'll probably love the Legion Go. But if you just want something simple, user-friendly, like a Nintendo Switch, then this might not be the device for you.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay, cool. So Windows 11, amazing potential, but maybe not quite there yet in terms of being truly optimized for handheld gaming. Makes sense. Now, what about those detachable controllers?
Oh, yeah.
We talked about the FPS mode being a cool idea, but was it actually useful? What did the reviewer think?
Their experience was a bit mixed, honestly.
Okay, how so?
They said the controllers were comfortable and responsive overall, felt natural in the hand. But they found the FPS mode to be a bit gimmicky. It's a cool concept, but they didn't feel like it gave them a significant advantage in practice.
Oh, interesting. So maybe more of a novelty than a must-have feature.
That was their takeaway, yeah.
Yeah.
It might appeal to some hardcore FPS fans, but for the average player, it's probably not going to make or break the experience.
Fair enough. It seems like the Legion Go is full of these interesting features that are maybe not fully realized yet. But hey, it's early days. Maybe future updates or tweaks will improve things.
Totally.
Now, let's talk about something that's crucial for any handheld gaming device: battery life. We know the Legion Go has a lot of power, but does that come at the cost of playtime?
Unfortunately, it seems like it does.
Ugh, I was afraid you were going to say that.
The review confirmed what we were suspecting. The battery life isn't exactly stellar. They got about 2-3 hours of playtime with intensive gaming before needing to plug it in.
2 to 3 hours? Ouch, that's pretty rough, especially
Yeah.
compared to some of the competition.
Yeah, it's definitely the compromise you have to make for that level of performance. That powerful processor, that bright and beautiful display, they suck up a lot of juice.
Yeah, the power drain is real. I can already imagine the frustration of having an epic boss battle interrupted by a low battery warning.
Every gamer's nightmare.
Hmm.
But on the bright side, the Legion Go does support fast charging. So if you have access to an outlet, you can top up the battery pretty quickly.
Okay, that's good. At least you won't be stuck waiting hours for it to charge back up. But even with fast charging, that battery life is definitely something to keep in mind. If you're planning on long gaming sessions away from an outlet, the Legion Go might not be the best choice.
Right, you got to weigh your priorities.
Okay, so we've covered performance, controls, and that all-important battery life. What else did the reviewer highlight about the overall gaming experience? Any other cool features or interesting observations?
A few things stood out to them. For one, they were really impressed by the quality of the built-in speakers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they said they're surprisingly loud and clear for a handheld device, which makes a big difference for immersion.
I love that. I always appreciate it when a handheld has decent speakers. You don't want to be tethered to headphones all the time, especially if you're out and about.
Exactly.
And it's especially important for games that have, those really immersive soundtracks.
Mhm.
I'm thinking of those epic Red Dead Redemption 2 soundtracks. Those would sound amazing on those speakers. What other little gems did the review uncover?
Well, we already talked about the micro SD card slot for expandable storage, which is pretty essential these days.
Yeah.
But they also really liked the built-in kickstand.
Oh, the kickstand. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
That's actually super useful for, tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
It's way more comfortable than trying to balance the device on your lap or something.
Right. It's one of those little things that really enhances the experience.
Yeah.
Lenovo clearly put some thought into the details.
I love it when companies pay attention to those small details. It really shows they care about the user experience. All right, so we've really gone deep on the gaming experience here. We talked about the performance, the controls, the audio, even that handy kickstand. It's clear that the Legion Go has a lot to offer, but it also comes with some compromises, like that battery life. But how does it stack up against the competition? In our final part, We're going to compare the Legion Go to its rivals and try to answer that all-important question, is this the right handheld for you? Stick around for part 3.
Okay, we're back for the final part of our Lenovo Legion Go deep dive.
It's been a wild ride, right? We've gone over the specs, the good stuff, the not so good stuff. We even talked about the actual gaming experience, but now it's time to address the big question.
Big question, yeah.
The competition.
Yeah.
The handheld gaming market is like on fire right now.
It's booming.
And the Legion Go is entering a pretty crowded arena.
It is.
You've got the Steam Deck, which has been killing it with its open platform, and it's super affordable. And then there's the ASUS ROG Ally, which is boasting some pretty crazy performance numbers. So how does the Legion Go stack up against these heavy hitters? Where does it fit in?
Well, it's definitely trying to carve out its own niche, that's for sure. That 8.8-inch display is a big selling point, and then you've got the whole Windows 11 thing, which opens up possibilities that those other handhelds just can't touch.
Right. It's like having a portable gaming PC in your hands, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly a fair fight on price, is it?
No, not really. The Legion Go is definitely more expensive than both the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally. And that weight, nearly double the weight of a Nintendo Switch, that's going to be a sticking point for a lot of people.
For sure. Portability is like one of the key factors for a handheld, and the Legion Go is kind of pushing the limits of what you can comfortably carry around. So for someone who's trying to decide between these 3 devices, what are the key factors they should be considering?
Okay, so if budget is your top priority, the Steam Deck's the way to go, no question. It's incredible value for the money.
Yeah.
And that open platform gives you so much freedom.
Yeah, it's all about customization and choice with the Steam Deck.
Exactly. But if you're all about that premium experience, you want the best of the best and you're willing to pay for it, the Legion Go has a lot to offer.
Okay, so it's for the more, I don't know, discerning gamer.
Something like that, yeah. That larger screen is just amazing for immersive games, and the performance is top-notch.
Right. And then you've got the ROG Ally, which seems to be sitting somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah, the Ally's kind of striking a balance between power and portability. It's not as cheap as the Steam Deck. It doesn't have that giant screen or Windows 11 flexibility, but it's a very solid device.
So there's no clear winner here. It really comes down to individual preferences, what you're looking for in a handheld.
Exactly. What kinds of games do you play? How important is portability? What's your budget? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself before making a decision.
It's actually pretty cool to see how diverse the handheld gaming market has become. It wasn't that long ago that there were only a couple of options. Now there are all these amazing devices to choose from.
Right. It's a great time to be a gamer.
It really is. It makes you wonder, though, where do we go from here? What's next for handheld gaming? What do you think?
That's the million-dollar question. We'll definitely see more powerful devices, more innovation. That's just how technology works. It keeps moving forward.
More power, better graphics, maybe even more immersive experiences like AR or VR integration.
Possibly. But I think the real game changer is going to be on the software side. We'll see operating systems specifically designed for handheld gaming.
Oh, interesting.
So not just better hardware, but a better overall ecosystem for handheld gaming.
Right, an experience that's really tailored to the platform.
Exactly. And cloud gaming is going to be huge. Imagine streaming the latest AAA titles on a handheld without compromise.
Whoa, that would be amazing. No more being limited by hardware.
All right, you could play anything, anywhere.
Yeah.
We're still early in the cloud gaming world, but the potential is huge. Who knows, we might even see the lines blurring between handheld consoles and mobile phones.
Now that's a thought. A device that can seamlessly transition between a powerful gaming machine and your everyday smartphone. That would be incredible.
The possibilities are endless.
So for everyone listening, the message is clear. The handheld gaming landscape is evolving.
Rapidly.
Whether you're a diehard gamer or just starting out, there's a device out there that's perfect for you. Do your research, figure out what's important to you, and don't be afraid to jump into the future of gaming.
That's what it's all about.
And most importantly, have fun. That's what gaming is all about. All right, that brings us to the end of our Lenovo Legion Go deep dive. We've covered a lot. Hopefully this has helped you understand this awesome device.
It's a cool piece of tech.
It is. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of tech and gaming. Until then, game on.